After she and her guy best friend had a heated argument, she pulled me aside, looked me straight in the eye, and said, "You need to apologize to him, or we are done." I just stared at her, not saying a word. Then she added something that hit even harder: "He was in my life before you, and honestly, he matters more." I did not argue. I just turned around, got in my car, and drove off without looking back. 3 days passed. She showed up at my apartment, standing outside in tears, begging me to forgive her. Look, I am no storyteller, so bear with me here. I never thought I would be posting something like this, but lately, everything that has been happening has left me really confused. I figured it might help to hear some outside opinions. For some quick background, I am a 43-year-old man working as a general contractor. I have been divorced for 6 years now, and I have a teenage daughter who lives with her mom. About a year ago, I started seeing a woman named Allison. She is 39. We first met when I was working on a renovation project at the coffee shop she manages. It was pretty textbook. She would bring me coffee during the day, we would chat when I took my breaks, and eventually, I asked her out. From the very beginning, we clicked. We have the same sense of humor, we both love being outside, and we have both been married before, with no plans to walk down that road again anytime soon. Things felt easy with her. Comfortable, but never dull. Or at least, that is what I believed. Then came Kevin. He is 41 and has been Allison's best friend since their college days. According to her, they tried dating for a short while during sophomore year, but it did not work out. They decided they were better off as friends and have been incredibly close ever since. Kevin was even the man of honor at her wedding. He stood by her during her divorce. He is basically woven into the fabric of her life. Over the past year, I have seen a lot of Kevin. Usually, it has been in group situations, game nights, barbecues, birthdays. He has always acted fine. Not exactly warm or friendly, but never openly rude either. He mostly just watches me, like he is silently judging whether I am good enough for Allison. I have tried to build a bridge, to get to know him, but he has always kept things politely distant. And that brings us to the night everything took a turn. Allison threw a small dinner party last weekend at her place. Nothing extravagant, just a few close friends and some grilled steaks. I showed up early to help her get everything ready. Kevin was already there when I arrived. He was standing in her kitchen, completely at ease, making drinks and tossing out cooking advice like he owned the place. I did not think too much of it, they are close, that is normal. So far, so good. Dinner was great. The food, the company, the conversations, all of it was enjoyable. After we finished eating, we all moved to the back deck to hang out. That is when someone decided to bring up politics, always risky. Turns out, Kevin and I are on opposite sides of the fence. Neither of us is extreme, but our views are definitely not aligned. The conversation stayed respectful, but you could feel the tension. I was not being pushy or rude, just sharing my opinion when someone asked. But every time I spoke, Kevin would shoot Allison a glance, like he expected her to shut me down. When she stayed quiet, his attitude started to change. His voice became sharper, more cutting. Then he made one particularly smug comment, and I had enough. I looked at him and said, "Look, man, we can disagree without being jerks about it. We are all adults here." From the way he reacted, you would think I had slapped him across the face. He turned bright red and spun toward Allison. "Are you seriously going to let him talk to me like that?" Before she could even open her mouth, I jumped in. "I am talking to you, not her. All I am asking for is a little respect." Kevin stood up, drink still in his hand, and fired back, "You have no idea what you are talking about. You never have. Allison knows it too. She is just too kind to tell you." I glanced at Allison, hoping she would step in and calm things down, or at the very least, stay neutral. But instead, she was looking at Kevin like she was afraid he might explode at any second. Her face was tense, worried. "Kevin, he did not mean anything by it," she said gently, trying to smooth things over. I looked right at her. "The hell I didn't," I said. "I meant every word. We can disagree without being disrespectful." Everything went quiet after that. You could feel the tension like a weight pressing down. Our guests shifted awkwardly in their seats. Kevin picked up his drink and set it down slowly, like he was trying to make a point. "I think I'm going to take off," he muttered. Then he looked at Allison. "Call me later, Ollie." He turned, walked through the house, and slammed the front door behind him. Allison got up right away and followed after him. I could hear them talking inside, just a low murmur, but I could not make out what they were saying. When she came back out, she looked shaken, clearly upset. I asked her, what was that all about? Not now, she said under her breath, then forced a smile for the guests still there. The rest of the evening felt awkward and forced, like we were all pretending everything was fine. Once everyone finally left, I started picking up empty glasses and clearing plates. That is when Allison stepped into the kitchen, arms folded tight across her chest. You need to apologize to Kevin, she said, not even easing into it. I almost dropped the dishes I was holding. Come again. You embarrassed him in front of everyone, she said firmly. You owe him an apology. I set the plates down, slowly and carefully. Allison, he was acting smug and disrespectful. If anyone should be apologizing, it is him. She shook her head. You do not get it. Kevin does not handle conflict very well. Oh, he feels attacked. I said. Well, I feel disrespected. Have you ever stopped to think that maybe your best friend just doesn't like me? That is not true, she said, but her eyes avoided mine. He is just protective, she added. Protective? I asked, raising an eyebrow. Allison, I am not some threat. And even if I were, you are a grown woman. You do not need someone hovering over your choices. She shifted where she stood, clearly uncomfortable now. Then she said it, flat and cold. This is simple. Either you apologize to him, or we are done. I stared at her, stunned. So you are giving me an ultimatum? Over some argument with your friend. And that is when she hit me with it, the line that changed everything. He was here before you, she said. And he is more important than you. Those words hung in the air like smoke after a fire. It was not even the words themselves that hit the hardest, it was the way she said them. Come. Final. Like it was a fact I should have already accepted. Like I had always been second place. I did not yell. I did not argue. I just looked at her. Let the truth sink in. Let it settle. Then I walked over, picked up my keys from the kitchen counter, and headed for the door. I got into my truck and drove off. She called out to me, but I never looked back. By the time I got home, my phone was already blowing up with messages from her. Where did you go? We need to talk about this. You are overreacting. Please come back so we can discuss this like adults. I turned off my phone and went straight to bed. Honestly, I slept better than you would expect for someone whose relationship just went up in flames. When I woke up, I had a dozen missed calls and a wall of texts waiting for me. I read them. But I did not reply. The next morning, I got up, went to work, and threw myself into a bathroom remodel that really needed my attention. It was a welcome distraction, something concrete I could focus on. After work, I came home, caught part of a game on TV, and ordered a pizza. Life does not stop just because a relationship falls apart. By the third day, the phone calls had mostly dried up, but the messages kept coming. And they were starting to sound more desperate. I was not ignoring her out of bitterness or anger, I just needed space. Time to sit with everything, to really think through what had happened and what it all meant. That evening, I heard a knock at the door. I checked the peephole and saw Allison standing there. Her eyes were swollen and red, and she was gripping her purse like it was the only thing keeping her upright. For a second, I thought about not answering. Just letting her stand there. But I could not do that. Whatever else I am not a coward. So I opened the door but stayed in the doorway. Can I come in? She asked, voice quiet and shaky. I don't think that's a good idea, I said. Please. I need to explain. I paused, then moved aside and let her in. She walked over and sat down on the couch, our couch. The one where we had shared movie nights, where she had dozed off against my shoulder, where Sunday afternoons had turned into long, slow hours of connection. But now she looked like a stranger sitting there. I'm sorry, she began. What I said was awful. I didn't mean it. Yes, you did, I replied, calm but firm. That's exactly why it hurt so much. Because you meant it. She started crying, real, silent tears cutting through the smudges of her makeup. I've known him for so long, he's like family. I can't lose him. I nodded. I get that. I really do. What I don't get is why keeping him has to mean losing me. Why is it either or? It doesn't have to be, she said quickly. I was upset. I just snapped. You and Kevin, you're both incredibly important to me. I sat down, not next to her, but across from her in the armchair. I needed that space. No, Allison. I'm not. And you've made that perfectly clear. I took a breath. And that's okay. You are allowed to prioritize whoever you want. That's your right. But I get to do the same. And I can't be with someone who treats me like I'm optional. You are not disposable, she cried. I love you. Do you? I asked. Or do you love the version of me that fits into your life when Kevin approves? Because the second I stopped playing by his rules, you were ready to toss me aside. She could not answer that. I leaned forward slightly. Has he always had a problem with me? Or did it start when he realized we were getting serious? She dropped her gaze. He's afraid you'll hurt me. Like my ex did. So now he's your self-appointed bodyguard, and you've just let him run the show. It's not like that, she whispered, but there was no strength behind the words. Come on, Allison. Tell me the truth. Has Kevin ever liked anyone you've dated? She said nothing. That silence. That was all I needed to hear. I deserve better than this, I said quietly. And so do you. A real friendship, one that is healthy, would never chain you up with guilt and control. A real friend wants to see you happy, even if that means you're not always available to them. Her sobs grew louder. She told me she had a huge argument with Kevin after I left. That she saw their friendship in a different light now, that some of the things he had done over the years were starting to make more sense, and not in a good way. She said she wanted to try again with me. That she wanted another chance. And a part of me, honestly, a big part, wanted to reach for her, to tell her we would find a way. But another part, the deeper part, remembered how easily she had cast me aside. How calmly she said I didn't matter as much. That part kept me grounded. I think we need some time apart, I said at last. I need to figure out if I can really be in a relationship where I'm always second best. And she needs to figure out if she's ready for a relationship where she is not constantly leaning on someone else to make her decisions. She left reluctantly that night, only after I promised I would think about giving us another shot. And I have been thinking. It's been 5 days now. Allison texts me every day, not to push, just to check in. From what I've heard, Kevin is furious with her. Not because she chose me over him, she hasn't even done that yet, but because she dared to question their dynamic. Just that alone was enough to send him over the edge. Her sister called me yesterday. She told me she's been warning Allison for years, that her friendship with Kevin has never been healthy. That he never wanted her romantically but could never stand to see her with someone else. That this same situation has played out with every boyfriend since college. I do not know what I am going to do. There is a part of me that still loves her. That wonders if, maybe, we can find a way through this. But then there's another part, an older, wiser part, that knows how hard it is to change old patterns. And she has had 2 decades to get comfortable with this one. For now, I'm taking things day by day. Spending time alone, getting my head clear. Reminding myself of one thing I promised I would never forget again: I'd rather be alone than be someone's second choice. I'll post an update if anything big changes. Thanks for sticking with me. Woke up to a flood of comments. Thank you to everyone who shared their thoughts, advice, and support. A few things I want to clear up. No, I don't think Kevin and Allison are sleeping together. This was never about sex. It's about control. Some people said I abandoned her at the dinner party. I didn't. I waited until the guests left. Then she told me where I stood. That was the moment I walked out. Looking back, yeah, I missed signs. Kevin texted her all the time, even when we were together. She'd drop everything to respond. He had opinions about everything, from where we ate to whether I was good enough for her. One time, he even crashed a weekend trip we planned, saying he was just in the area. He lives 2 hours away. A few of you think I'm being too hard on her. Maybe. But I've already lived through one relationship where I didn't matter. That was my marriage. It took years of therapy to crawl out of that hole and realize I deserve more. I won't go back there. And no, we never lived together. Allison has her own place on the other side of town. That's why she had to come to my door instead of already being in the apartment. We had talked about moving in someday, but we weren't there yet. Update 10 days later. Allison and I met for coffee, 12:06, yesterday. Neutral territory. A place downtown neither of us frequents. She looked tired but, 12:13, determined. She spoke first, telling me she'd been doing a lot of thinking and had some revelations, 12:19, about her friendship with Kevin. Apparently after our argument, she started noticing things. 12:25, how he subtly dictated her choices. How he created crises when she was focusing on other, 12:30, relationships. How he'd conditioned her to prioritize his feelings above everyone else's, 12:35, including her own. She showed me texts he'd sent after their fight. Manipulative, guilt-tripping, 12:41, messages about how she was throwing away 2 decades of friendship and choosing some, 12:47, contractor over family. Reading them made my skin crawl. This wasn't a friendship, 12:53, it was emotional hostage-taking. The most telling part was when she admitted that Kevin had hated, 12:59, every man she'd ever dated. Had actively sabotaged several relationships. Had even told her ex-husband, 13:06, intimate details about her past specifically to create problems between them. And she'd always, 13:12, forgiven him. Always maintained the friendship. Always put him first. I don't want to live like, 13:18, that anymore, she told me. I've already talked to a therapist. I have my first appointment next week. 13:24, I told her I was proud of her for recognizing the unhealthy dynamic, 13:28, but that I needed to protect myself too. We agreed to take things very slowly. 13:34, casual dates, no pressure, while she works through her issues with professional help. 13:38, Kevin, predictably, has escalated. When cutting her off emotionally didn't work, 13:43, he tried a new tactic. Showing up at her workplace, sending flowers, 13:47, acting like the perfect friend who just wants her happiness. Classic manipulation. 13:53, to her credit, Allison has maintained firm boundaries. She told him they needed space, 13:59, and that their friendship would need to change fundamentally if it were to continue at all. 14:04, I'm cautiously optimistic but proceeding with eyes wide open. Some of you warned me to run for the 14:11 hills and I understand that perspective. But I've seen how hard she's working to break free from 14:16, this dysfunctional relationship, and that counts for something. We'll update again when there's 14:22 more to share. Update, 1 month later. Things have progressed in unexpected ways. 14:29, Allison has been consistent with therapy and has maintained boundaries with Kevin, 14:32, who responded by alternating between love bombing and rage. Classic abuser tactics. 14:38, the final straw came last week when he showed up drunk at her apartment, demanding to be let in, 14:43, yelling that I had brainwashed her. She called the police. They removed him and she filed a 14:50 restraining order the next day. It was painful for her but also clarifying. She told me it was like 14:56, finally seeing the full picture after years of looking at individual puzzle pieces. She's been reconnecting with friends she lost touch with during Kevin's reign. His possessiveness had slowly isolated her over the years, like vines wrapping around her life. As for us, we're dating again, taking it slow, learning how to do this in a healthier way. I even attended one of her therapy sessions. I wanted to better understand how to support her without stepping on her independence. Her therapist described breaking free from a codependent relationship as similar to deprogramming from a cult. It takes time. And a lot of patience. Kevin hasn't gone quietly. He's been trying to turn mutual friends against her. But it's not really working. Most people have seen him clearly now, especially those who witnessed his behavior firsthand. A few even reached out to Allison to apologize, for not speaking up sooner, for pretending everything was fine when it clearly wasn't. Of course, there are still a few acquaintances who've taken his side. They believe his twisted version of the story. Allison said that's been painful, but also clarifying. It showed her who her real friends are. Work got involved too. They don't work at the same company, thank God. But Kevin started contacting her through her professional email, even after she told him to stop. Her HR department stepped in. They documented everything, helped her block his email domain, and alerted security after a restraining order was filed. And I've got to say, I'm impressed by her strength. Recognizing and confronting toxic patterns isn't easy. Especially ones that have been part of your life for years. No matter what happens with us long term, I'm grateful for what we've both learned about self-worth, healthy boundaries, and not ignoring red flags. To the people who said I should have just apologized to keep the peace, this was never about a petty argument. It wasn't about politics. It was about respect. It was about knowing when a relationship is out of balance and having the courage to say, this isn't okay. Sometimes walking away is the only thing strong enough to break the spell. Final update, 6 months later. Allison and I are still together. And honestly, things are better than they've ever been. She's kept going to therapy, and it's helped her unpack more than just her history with Kevin. She's made real progress, deep, lasting changes in how she sees herself and her relationships. The restraining order eventually expired, but Kevin has mostly stayed away. Apparently, he's still trying to spin the story among their old social circles, claiming he was the one betrayed and replaced. But not many are buying it anymore. The people who were at that dinner party, and those who watched everything unravel afterward, remember what really happened. Allison has apologized more than once for what she said that night. But I've told her, words matter, sure, but it's what you do that really counts. And what she's done since then. She's shown up. She's been present, honest, and accountable. She's proven that she wants a relationship built on mutual respect. Next month, we're moving in together. And now, that decision feels right in a way it never would have 6 months ago. We've had our share of disagreements since that night, but they're different now. We talk things through like partners. Equals. No outside interference. No silent referees in the background. Just us. To the person who said, you can't compete with history, you're right. But that's not really what this was about. It was about realizing that just because something has been part of your life for a long time doesn't mean it's healthy. Familiar doesn't always mean safe. Sometimes the longest relationships we carry with us are also the most damaging. To everyone who offered support, advice, or just a few kind words, thank you. Standing your ground, knowing your worth, it's not always easy. But it's one of the best forms of self-care there is. And sometimes, when you do it, it gives someone else the strength to do the same.